Hello and welcome to SunSport's latest transfer special. We're focusing on Rangers. A heat wave has just kicked off in Scotland. Will Rangers transfer business heat up itself? It seems as though one is very close to happening, and we'll also look at the impact of a big injury from last night's game against Viktoria Plzen and look back at that game ourselves. David Friel is to my left, I'm Ryan Rowe. Let's go straight into it. Cyriel Dessers looked like he took quite a bad one last night. Rangers have been in the market for a striker. There's a lot of sides to this one.
It's look, we wish him. Let's start. Wish him all the best. Cyriel Dessers, because it did look like he maybe caught his studs in the turf. Ryan went down in a fair bit of pain. I think as soon as it happened, Rangers knew it was a bad one. Russell Martin after the game didn't really sugarcoat it. It's hoping it's not maybe as bad as first feared. I'm sure we'll get time of recording. We don't know how bad it is. I'm sure news will come out in the next couple of days over that. But yeah, look, it's a blow for Rangers because right now Cyriel Dessers was the number one striker. Whether that was going to be the case come the end of the window, who knows? But it looks as if he is going to be missing for a certain period of time. We don't know how long yet. But yeah, that striker hunt that we do think Rangers were on anyway has to be cranked up right now.
And the other layer to this is that Hamza Igaman is also injured and hasn't played since 15 minutes against Middlesbrough.
Yeah, and that's a concern and probably an issue that has to be ironed out. Look, he's played 15 minutes of competitive football, he picked up an injury. I think we all feel that it was probably heading towards a conclusion where Hamza Igaman left the club. It's gone a bit quiet on Lille, but look, there clearly has been interest, especially from France, in the player. That has to be sorted out. Russell Martin needs to know where he's staying or where he's going. He has to plan with him or without him. And look, maybe this Cyriel Dessers injury will mean that Rangers say, you know what, you're just staying. Igaman, he's staying because you've got Denilos there just now. You don't have much else. And Rangers need all the strikers they can get just now. They're still searching probably for that number one striker. And it may just come that Hamza Igaman is told, you're staying.
Yeah, because I think a lot of that was the reason that Rangers never pushed on with the AEK Athens offer for Cyriel Dessers is because they were unsure what was going to happen with Hamza Igaman. Yeah. Now he's injured, and we're not here to cane players, but I don't think we're too unfair to say right now Denilos doesn't look up to lead the line for Rangers.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have spoken over the course of these shows just about Denilos. I think he's been up and down. I actually think he did well when he came on last night up to a point. I thought his hold-up play was better than Cyriel Dessers was, but I thought Dessers was really poor when he was on. Danilo showed a bit more energy, a bit more get up and go, what Rangers did need. Is he going to be the man to lead the line? Is he going to be the man to score 30 goals this season? I have my doubts. This is his chance to show it can be. We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago about how he has to grasp it. He's not done that yet. I think he's probably going to get a start at the weekend. He might even start as things stand. He's probably in pole position to start against Bruges next week. So he has to take it. But I would imagine the Rangers recruitment team and Russell Martin are now looking through this list of strikers that have clearly been compiling and saying, right, who can we push a button on now?
Because it's all kind of went quiet on Dor Turgiman, who was kind of the name that was really kicking around at the start of the window. Will Rangers regret not pushing the boat out as though they needed a big war chest, but yeah, regret not going after Lawrence Shankland properly?
To me, it became a decision. I think if Barry Ferguson stayed as Rangers manager, and maybe if Philip Clement stayed as Rangers manager, I think he'd have gone. I think Lawrence Shankland would probably have been given an offer to go to Rangers. Russell Martin took over. He clearly wanted to go down a different route. That was fine. That's his entire choice. To me, Lawrence Shankland, while maybe not being the automatic first choice Rangers striker, would have certainly been a guy that you could hang your hat on to get X amount of goals per season. He's Scottish. He knows everything about the club inside out. He knows the league. We've been over this before. To me, it was a no-brainer for relatively small outlay. He would have been available on a free. You just need to give him a sign-on fee and wages. So I was quite surprised at the time that Rangers didn't pursue it. But do they regret it now? Well, it's hindsight. Nobody was to know that Cyriel Dessers was going to get injured and going to miss some important games, and there's going to be obviously an injury to Hamza Igaman as well. So Rangers are very, very short in attack right now. Lawrence Shankland, I think, would have been a good player, but that ship sailed.
So let us know in the comments, Rangers fans, indeed, how desperate is the need for a striker in your eyes. Take a look at the Plzen game last night. Plzen obviously won on the night 2-1. Rangers do progress to face Bruges in the Champions League playoffs. Star performers, if any. Russell Martin singled out a couple, but it was kind of through gritted teeth.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think you need to start with the positives. Look, Rangers did the job over two legs. The job was pretty much done at Ibrox. It was 3-0. So it's worth a fair bit of money getting to the playoff. I think it's about €5 million just for getting to the playoff alone. They're already guaranteed Europa League group stage football at the very least. So the job has been done up to a point. But there's concerns, clearly concerns. Now, Russell Martin, after the game, started off with the positive of getting through and then went on to list a whole lot of negatives. Star performance, I thought Lyle Cameron did well again, was in the right place at the right time for his goal. I thought Raskin came on to the game in the second half. Beyond that, I thought there was some hard workers. I thought Antman worked really hard but didn't get the ball enough. I just think Rangers needed to be, Russell Martin after the game was talking about taking care of the ball, but they just had to be a bit more decisive in getting the ball to their danger. I mean, it was a tough night for Gassama, although again he worked hard as well. But look, I think you take the positives, but then in the cold light of day, you analyse the game and there's major concerns. Rangers are giving up far too many chances.
If it wasn't for Jack Butland last night.
If it wasn't for Jack Butland and really bad striking, then Rangers would have been in bother. But you could say exactly the same for the Panathinaikos game. You could say pretty much the same for the Motherwell game in terms of, you remember Tom Sparrow goes through right at the end, could win it.
Yep.
Dundee had a lot of chances at the weekend in relative terms to what they do, hit the post a couple of times. So there's all manner of stats flying about just now about Rangers giving up shots against. I think last night against Plzen, I think Plzen 27 attempts and goal, 10 on target. That's crazy. Now, if you're playing against a far better team,
a Real Madrid or a
Barcelona,
Barcelona.
Real Madrid, if you're playing against Bruges and give up that many chances, I think you're out. So that's not just my words, that's Russell Martin's words. I think he spoke, I thought he was really honest last night without ripping into his players. I think he was really honest and he spoke about the Rangers level. When they're really good, they're good, but the drop to when they're bad is far too high. There's no real middle ground there, and I think he's looking at it in terms of their ball retention, their tracking their runs. I mean, the 2 goals sum it up. Jeffrey falls asleep, then falls over. But even then, after that, to me, I know it's a good cross in, but I think the centre-halves need to react better. I think the second Plzen goal is just an absolute, it's amateur hour, because Jeffrey's playing everybody on side. Joe Rothwell doesn't track and the centre-halves aren't there either. So I think there's major concerns in that sense that at some point Rangers, and I'm not saying they have totally got away with it because they've dropped 4 points in the league so far, but Rangers need to tighten up. And that means keeping the ball better, that means defending better. But I can understand why Russell Martin last night almost, I think the qualification, I don't mean bittersweet because look, they've done the job, but I can understand why he's got concerns because Rangers are giving far too many chances away.
Yeah, I think even if you say, well, it's a lot of new faces, that's no excuse for the sheer amount of chances they're giving up, as you say. And talking about another new face, we'll touch on Nobel Mendy in a second. At the other side of the city, some Celtic fans are worried that their squad, or indeed Brendan Rodgers says, he says he's happy with the squad going into the Champions League, but he wants more players. If Rangers do get past Bruges, is this squad ready for a proper Champions League goal?
No. Look, as we just said, you could go into the league phase, play against the very elite of world football. I do imagine if Rangers get past Bruges and get to the end of the window, I think they will bring in more reinforcements.
Yeah.
However, I think that would be, I would imagine right now, and you'll always aim for the very top, you'll always try to get to the Champions League and want to be the very best. I never ever subscribe to this theory that either Celtic or Rangers are better off in the Europa League. Okay, you might be more competitive, but surely you want to be in the biggest competition, testing yourself against the very, very best. And for your fans as well, you want to see big games against the big teams. I would imagine right now, the Europa League is probably Rangers' more natural habitat. It's fine to say that. But they want to be in the Champions League, but of course they would have a lot of work to do and they would have to be so much more switched on if they're going into that Champions League. Same goes for Celtic to a point, but I think Celtic look a lot more, if you're comparing the two in terms of how ready they are for European football, I think defence into midfield, Celtic look a lot more solid than Rangers do right now.
So speaking of that defence, Nobel Mendy is the name that seems to be the next Rangers signing. You'll actually take it up in total to 11 new signings if you include Oscar Cortez and Lyle Cameron. It's quite an interesting signing because the centre-back that Rangers had been linked with from almost the start of the window and Russell Martin came in was Connor Cody, who's at the complete other end of his career from Nobel Mendy. He's played a grand total of 2 La Liga games. I mean, is he the answer? If it wasn't for this St Mirren rearrangement, his debut could have been against Celtic.
Yeah, but you've also got Manny Fernandez as well there, who's not really a sniff so far. And look, if you look at it, it just looks like a project signing. But as we've spoken about, Rangers need to go in various different transfer strategies here. They've got loan players, they've got guys who are in for the here and now that are match ready. Then they've signed like Fernandez and Nobel Mendy. you would imagine project signings guys for the future. I'd be very, very wary of expecting too much too soon. As you say, look, he's clearly got a good pedigree. I think he'll be more than suited to the physicality of Scottish football. However, he doesn't have a lot of experience. He would be coming in, I'd imagine, with a view to being blooded in at certain times and one for the future. But I would be very wary. But yeah, it is interesting how Rangers chased Conor Cody for so long and now are signing a player who can play left centre back, left back, who's completely opposite ends. I also do wonder though if Rangers have had a look at Nasser Jigga and get sent off against Dundee, but I just wonder where he settled pretty quickly, and I just wonder where Rangers are thinking, you know what, we can hang your hat on him for the season. John Souttar, we spoke about his contract situation, however, I don't imagine Rangers will countenance letting him go this window at all now. I just wonder whether they've decided, well, let's go for a younger one.
Yeah, this one, it reminds me a little bit of what Philippe Clement eventually said about Hamza Igaman, was if we waited until maybe he had played more games, we wouldn't have got him for 2.5 million, which is what the fee for Nobel Mendy seems to be. He would have went to a bigger and better club, so Rangers need to get him in right now. But 20 years old, I mean, even if his debut is going to be against St Mirren, never mind Celtic, that's still a bit of a baptism of fire.
No, listen, St Mirren, I mean, that if he is signed and is thrown in, yeah, of course. I would just wonder about Manny Fernandes. I would imagine he plays against Alloa at the weekend, and I think most Rangers fans want to see him, just want to see what he can do. I don't think that's an area of the pitch that Russell Martin will be looking to rip up if everybody's available, so it'll be Souttar and Jigga will be the two players. However, I think you need depth. You know, you saw last season, players do pick up injuries, players pick up suspensions, as we've seen already. So yeah, look, it looks as if it's about to happen, Nobel Mendy, but yeah, if he's thrown at St Mirren, a really, really tough away venue. That's a really tough game for Rangers, especially with Jigga missing. That'll be some start.
So the timeline for Nobel Mendy, there is a story on the Scottish Sun online. It seems to be as though there's a medical that's been taking place in Barcelona and he could be unveiled as a Rangers player potentially before this Alloa game, but maybe not in time to play. Two players who may be in line to make their Rangers debuts at the weekend against Alloa, Mikey Moore and Delo Asgard. Yeah. One's been dealing with an injury, one's been unfortunate with paperwork. Yeah. Rangers fans will be excited to see one of, if not both of them, pretty soon.
Yeah, of course. And look, it's been a very, very bizarre hold-up for Mikey Moore and everything that's going on with the new contract and turning 18 and everything. In terms of Asgard, everybody he spoke to when he signed for Rangers was saying this is the one, this is the guy who can provide the real X factor for Rangers. He's just had to be patient with this injury. But I think everyone at Rangers is excited to see him, and I think he'll bring a different dimension to an area of the pitch that, you know, Rangers do have options now. We spoke about it in terms of Cameron scoring the goal. You've got Raskin still in and out. You've got Joe Rothwell, Mohamed Diamande, Connor Barron. I think Asgard will come in and play as one of the attacking number 8s for what Russell Martin would be looking for. And Mikey Moore, would imagine he'll maybe come in and play off the left, you would think. I would think Gassama, he's been so good since he started his Rangers career. I thought against Plzen it was just a bit of a frustrating night for him. I just wonder whether he may get a rest this weekend with a view to the game next week against Bruges. But yeah, I think Mikey Moore, both him and Asgard, will be absolutely desperate to hit the ground running.
So looking at some of the other links and some of the other business, for want of a better pun, Andy Irving has been linked with both Rangers and Celtic in some corners over the past sort of few days. Again, it's another midfielder for Rangers, but it's a guy now who is 25. He has played in Scottish football, be it not for a while. He's made his Scotland debut. Could he be a kind of the player that you could see them go for?
It's one where he ticks a lot of boxes for both clubs up here, who would be in the market for him, because he's Scottish, so he's one of the kind of homegrown quota. He's got good experience, he's got a good name down at West Ham by all accounts. I mean, he played a bit, he's played for Scotland. He's relatively cheap. I wonder with both Rangers and Celtic, I know Celtic certainly had an interest in him last summer. I'm saying an interest, I think they were kind of aware of that he might be available, never really followed it through. I think for Rangers it would probably depend on whether someone goes. I just look at the numbers in there just now, and is it a priority area for Rangers to go and strengthen? I'm not so sure it would be. I think you would be looking at left back and striker first and foremost, and obviously this kind of ongoing kind of hunt for Jesser and Raksaki as that fourth winger as well. So I don't imagine that's an area that Russell Martin, unless a Nico Raskin or a Diamandi are that left, I don't think that's an area that is crucial for Rangers right now.
Yep, so Ridvan Yilmaz still seems to be in limbo. We spoke about Hamza Igaman earlier. Cards on the table, do you expect both to be Rangers players at the end of the window?
I would think there's more of a chance for Igamani now purely because of the injury. I think for Ridvan Yilmaz, it looks as if he's just out of favour. Look, he lost his squad jersey, he's not played anything. He'll be watching that game last night and looking at Jeffy and thinking, how can I not get in that team? However, I think Rangers have just made a decision on him. He's going to probably go back to Turkey, you would imagine, Besiktas, so I think he'll go. But I think left back is a priority for Rangers. I don't think the Max Allen's experiment worked. I like Jeffy to a point, but he's got games like last night in him. He's got lapses like last night in him. And I just wonder whether, in the way Russell Martin really wants to play, I think he's far better just as a traditional fullback. I think coming in the pitch that Russell Martin wants his fullbacks to do, I'm not sure he's the man to do that. And I think Yilmaz will go, and I think a left back is an absolute necessity for Rangers. So
Rangers fans, let us know in the comments what you think of the transfer window so far. It is still early days, but we are now, we've seen most of these players in action. Of the early sights you've seen, who looks like they'll be the best signing for Rangers so far?
Best signing, that's a difficult one because I really like Nasser Jigga, I do. And I get it, people are saying, oh, he gets sent off against India. I just think he's a good defender. I think he'll be a very good signing for Rangers. I think Asgard will be exciting when he signs. We've not seen him yet. And Gassama's been eye-catching, but I really like Antman as well. I think Antman, if I was going to pick one so far, I'd probably say Oliver Antman. I just think he has real pace, a real threat, but I also love his work rate. I think he works so hard. You know, with that, he is old-fashioned.
Because so many wingers want to cut inside now. He's down the line.
He's so, I don't really like the phrase, but he's so honest. You know, he just puts in a shift, and I think he is a really sure signing for Rangers.
Biggest question mark so far?
Question mark so far will be the ones we've probably just not seen.
Or Max Allen's? Are you convinced?
No, I don't. I think Max Allen's is... Look, I think when you have played at the level he has, everybody expects him to come in and be absolutely outstanding. I don't think you can underestimate the change and the adaptation that these players, and I'll include Joe Rothwell and guys like that, because you are going from, with all due respect, and that means I'm going to disrespect somebody, with all due respect to certain clubs in England, you can draw a game on a Tuesday, nobody cares, right? You can lose a game and everybody says, oh well, you're going to lose 1 in 6. If you concede a goal at Rangers, if you drop a point at Rangers, there is an inquest lasting days. Not just from us, from supporters, from everybody. So try to get your head around that and play under that scrutiny and pressure while also playing a game every 3 days is not easy. And I've seen much better players than Max Allen's come up here and absolutely flounder. And I will see better players. You know, Rangers will probably end up signing 12, 14 players this summer. There might be a quarter of them just can't handle it. You see players that the jersey's just too big for them, the club's just too big for them. So I'm cut all of them a bit of slack just now until you really have a body of evidence to work through in terms of are they going to be able to hack it. But what a baptism it's been for them all, and it's only going to get bigger, Ryan. You know, you've got these 2 Bruges games, you've got a St Mirren away game, and now being played, which is really, really tough, and then the big one against Celtic right at the end of the month. It's but this is why they come to Rangers, and if they can't handle it, as you said at the start of the show, it was hot. You know what you can do.
Yep, so prediction for the Old Firm? No, I'm only joking. So let us know in the comments what you think of the transfer window so far, as we said, and be staying tuned to YouTube and across social media. We'll have the first episode of The Set Piece for you to enjoy, a rebranding of last year's Coffee Club, and on Friday, a Celtic transfer special for you.